Okay. So any questions?
No.
Um, I guess just a general question
Oh, sure.
thought of this morning while doing a little practicing. Does as you move through some of the different things we've been working on, like twisting and opening and closing and trying to get into the fascia, um, does the feeling or sensation of the energy change when you that?
Yes.
Okay, say more. What does it feel like for you? Because for me, I guess I always imagined that there would be a sense of more as you add these elements, but it's less a sense of more and more a sense of it feeling different.
I have that same notion or observation. Yeah.
So yes, it for me, I would say that I have both sensations, both different and more.
Okay.
Um, but not right at not right away.
Hmm.
um, it, it, I guess the more I would have to say the more the sense of the flow through the entire system increasing comes when you begin to not have to think about each of these, but they're integrated and simply occurring.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, but I think um, particularly well today we're going to work on twisting the fascia in the legs. Um, but I was going to say particularly when you work on that, um, I found it really felt different because it changed what was happening in my legs.
Hmm.
Um, so, yeah, I think each of these elements, as you begin to really feel them and begin to have a sense that they are actually opening up your body, yeah, it is going to make things feel different.
Okay.
Um, so I don't, I don't, it, it's hard. I don't know that I can describe exactly that, and probably it's different for everybody.
Mm.
Hmm.
Um, and certainly the amount of what you feel is different for everybody.
Okay.
It doesn't help very much. Um,
Oh, yes and no. You know, it
um,
does give some reassurance that, you on the right track.
yeah, well, if you are feeling something, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
And the fact that you feel a difference, I think it means definitely that you're on the right track because
Hmm.
it indicates an increasing awareness of what what's going on, what's happening.
Hmm. Right. Okay.
Did that raise any questions for you, Bill?
No, no questions. I mean, uh, the sense of energy moving is still inconsistent. But I will say that nowadays, when I work at pulling energy into the dantian and pushing it out to the extremities, that seems to kick everything into gear, and I can feel connectedness with the energy moving at least part way from the dantian and toward the dantian. So,
Good. Well, that's progress.
yep.
Well, let's look at the fascia in the legs. So obviously we're not going to use anything different in terms of stance as we're doing this. You also have to really get your mind into your body and extend it down to connect to the fascia in your legs, which perhaps is easier said than done. And we're going to work today with what really something we did back when we were doing lengthening, which is thinking of jiggling the muscles in the leg to relax them and open up the connection to your fascia. And focusing on getting the fascia loose enough so that the legs can rotate without the fascia binding the muscles in the legs. So, using an analogy that makes a lot of sense, we've all seen movies about World War II, which showed tanks, and a tank had essentially three parts. Whatever moves it around, and then there is the turret on top, and on top of that is mounted the gun or cannon. And when you want to point the cannon somewhere, you don't move the cannon, you actually turn the base it is sitting on. So when we look at the thighs, we need to get the sense of the bone in the center of your leg being stable. Then we just want to jiggle. And what I mean by that is just, it's more effectively done when somebody else does it to you, but let me just, it is simply, and you can do this seated too, what you might want to do at the moment, but just simply take your hands and jiggle the muscles, get them to relax and loosen up. And at the moment we're just doing this to the thigh. So I'd like you to go ahead and do that for a little bit. Just see if you can get a sense of the muscles really loosening up. And do both legs, don't just do one. And then stand up.
I may have to adjust this, David. I'm up in Maine, and I don't know.
Okay. I'm amazed that you managed to connect from Maine. And without shifting your weight, just try rotating from side to side. And try to get that rotating to be coming from the thighs until the muscles in the fascia get nice and loose. This, of course, is what we want to happen in movement 3 when you turn. You're not going to turn from your arms or your waist, you're going to turn from your legs, because the legs are the base, and the torso is the turret, and the arms are the gun or cannon. So just get a sense of moving from your thighs. And then I want you to try a little bit of movement 3. And try to get it so that when you turn a little bit, the legs don't freeze, so that you push your waist to go through that resistance. In order to do this, you have to first lightly jiggle your thighs so that the nerves inside your body at the insertion points don't grab the fascia. So just trying to get a sense of the thighs moving your arms.
I have a feeling that my pelvis is more involved than it should be.
Well, then take it away. Okay, so let go of that for a moment. And you might sit down again, because what I want you to do at the moment now is to jiggle your calves. Well, actually, first let me ask you, so were you able to let go of that sense of moving from the pelvis or waist, I have a feeling, and transfer it into the legs?
I felt it moving in that direction, and however many times I felt that the thighs were doing it, but I was aware of things being tied to the pelvis a little more than they should have been.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little more about that a little later.
Okay.
So how about for you, Adam?
Yeah, I had a sense of that. And I feel like it's you can feel where you go too far. And then feel like the pelvis kind of kicks in. It's pretty easy to feel how that movement pattern is different and feels different for the energy.
Yeah, I I think that you're touching on an important um, point there. that if you shift the weight too far or try to rotate too far, it begins to shift things up and
Mm,
also causes an interruption, causes a block.
yeah.
So that is important to be, and this posture particularly, I think, can be very difficult with that. Your tendency often is to go too far,
Mm,
particularly in the release at 3 and 9. So try jiggling your uh, actually jiggle your thighs a little bit and then jiggle your calves. Just take a minute to try to feel that releasing of the muscles in your legs. The calves don't move nearly as much as the thighs, or at least that's true for most of us. But when you get the whole leg jiggling, you can probably get it jiggling from side to side. And we want to remember about the 4 points, that natural box in our torso that keeps your internal organs together and is the way that allows the most efficient movement along the left and right channels. So I'd like you now to stand up and rotate and shift from side to side, endeavoring to do that from the legs. You want to make sure as you're doing this that your shoulders, nets, and your quad are sinking in slightly so that they stay fixed. Because if you can keep the 4 points fixed when you turn your legs, because they're connected to your hips and your waist, it turns the area of your 4 points. You're not doing anything with your waist except keeping it together, so it's connected. You want what's on top to move very easily. The turning of your thighs and your calves turns the 4 points. And your torso is the turret, and your arms are the gun. Bill, also shift your weight as you're doing this. You're rotating and shifting. Okay, pause and relax. Was that any easier?
Yes, it was. And I didn't feel the pelvis or the waist pulling as much.
Yeah.
Is that with the shift?
Well, it's with the shift and also with getting the calves involved too, the
Yeah.
whole leg. Apparently, Adam's people are discovering that he's in this morning.
Yes.
That's okay. So now we're going to look a little bit at something else. We're going to repeat this, only now we're also going to be concerned with your lower back, your sacrum, and we're going to be concerned with your knees. So I'll ask you to stand up again.
Mhm.
And again, rotate and shift from side to side. Now, if the 4 points are together, when you turn your legs, you also do not want the turning to go right into the sacrum and start twisting it. You want to leave the sacrum alone, because the last thing you want to do is to start twisting the sacrum, which can cause serious back pain or worse. So now try doing movement 2. And the arms are continuously turning. And that's also happening inside your legs. Your calves are going to be a lot tighter than your thighs, partly because they're smaller and because they are closer to where the weight of your body is landing on your feet. So you have to try to let your legs be loose. You can't assume they are magically going to become loose because you want them to. So it isn't only that your thighs turn, it is that your thighs and your calves turn together. So you just have to work through a lot of practice. Now when you turn and come into a resistance point, well, just try to jiggle it the other way. And actually, don't let it go clear into the tightness that stops you. But see if you can begin to start feeling the tightness before it gets really strong. And then jiggle a little to release it. It takes time to loosen the fascia. So now pause for a moment and jiggle right above and right below your knees. And now I want you just to try rotating a little bit, being very aware of your knees. Are you busy, Adam?
Sorry, I had someone come to the office door that I had to
That's
talk
all
to.
right. No, I understand.
So
No, just can I talk to you now or
yeah.
oh, okay. So I want you to jiggle above and below your knees.
Okay.
Just right above and below your knees. Because we're trying to focus on the knee at the moment. And then stand and just do a little rotating from side to side, trying to let that fascia move, but not move the knee. Okay, and now come into center and try doing a cross squat, using the rotating of the legs to bend and extend the body. as you're doing this with your fascia, see if you can get the muscles in your butt to be able to turn in the same direction that the muscles in your legs are turning. Get those muscles to relax so that you have no resistance to turning. The muscles of the buttocks get really tight. What they will end up doing is causing pressure that will pull on your knees and on your lower back. So you have to have these muscles relaxed and loose. Now try doing movement 2, which uses the Kwa squat. And be aware your arms are just circling. You're not physically turning, but as your arms are turning, the muscles in your butt and in your legs should be turning so that the pressure from the lower part of your body is not interfering with the chi either moving into your legs or moving from your legs into your upper body. So now pause for a moment, and I want you to jiggle your buttocks. Feel those muscles release. And now try that movement 2 again and see if that releasing allows the rotating to move into that area. But be aware of releasing the knees and rotating from the legs. Let the rotating of the legs move everything else. Okay, pause and relax. So what could you feel in your buttocks?
I can feel some release. Definitely a lot of muscular tension there to start with, but I think it improved as we went. I can feel the rotation in that area feels very tied to the movement, and I found myself wondering, in a lot of the things we do, we can do it either way, twist in or out.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like with the squat, it really only wanted to go one way. That going down, it seemed to rotate in and then rotate out coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt myself, I didn't really try to do it the other way, but I felt myself thinking like, I think it would be difficult to reverse that.
At this stage, yeah, it would be.
Yeah. But I think before and after jiggling the buttocks, it was a big improvement after. It seemed to bring the mind to have a more awareness of all the tissue in that area. And there is a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
It's a big muscle group, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
muscles going all sorts of ways, connecting to the lower back, some of them go up the mid back. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff there. So that definitely helped.
And that's good. And the we do tend to tighten that area a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, without being aware of it.
Right.
So that it really is important because obviously it's tied into the qua and the perineum and the movement of the energy through that area. So it is a really important piece to get. Bill?
I think I was reasonably well satisfied with the looseness of the buttocks and the thighs. But even when we were sitting and jiggling the calves, the only way I could jiggle the calves if I had my legs at 90 degrees. They were, if I had my leg extended, it was tight. If I was standing, it was tight. And I reached down there and I tried to move it around, and it certainly didn't jiggle. And I think that's my sense of it in what we did as far as movement 2 or even movement 3 before that. The calf was working, but not loosely the way the thigh was.
Yeah. Well, it's much harder to loosen the calves than the thighs. Absolutely, no question about that. But if you keep working on that, you'll discover that they will let go a lot more than you think they will at first, or at least that was certainly my experience.
Okay.
What about the knees?
Well, of course, with what I've been through, as you well know, I'm really pretty cognizant of what the knees are doing or not doing. So I was satisfied there. I didn't feel that there was any torque.
Great.
So.
Good. Good. And I presume much the same for you, Adam?
Yeah, I didn't have any trouble with the knees.
Okay. One thing I might just mention that although your legs can be rotating your waist, the fact of the matter is that The waist can also rotate the legs. That's also a possibility. They have to absolutely be joined together. If you want to take all the pressure off your sacrum and your knees and get the chi to flow through them. But you can move from either the legs or the waist. The moment we're focusing on the legs. When you get start getting all the pieces together, the range of motion will increase and there is more space. And the space is what allows the chi to flow down through your body. Now another point, if you sense that you're feeling pressure in your knee, which you guys don't seem to be, then all these turns and all these jigglings are going to work to take the pressure off your knee. So it's not just a casual point. We can sum this up in one way. It absolutely would be invisible to recognize visually what's going on. But internally, how you're feeling and how your body is actually moving is quite a lot. So this is another thing about Neigong in general. Neigong is invisible on the outside and totally visible once you get inside the body. The external motions don't actually let you know what sort of internal pressures they're creating inside of you. And it is the internal pressures inside of you that usually causes the legs to break down. External stuff doesn't, because it's very obvious if you're going too far that maybe you're going to fall down. But you don't necessarily feel when you're damaging a joint or cartilage or causing blood stagnation in your body or any of the other things which are essential to life. The central point about what's happening in this lesson is this. We're trying to have you understand and feel how to release the surface fascia in the legs, the back and the buttocks, not the deeper fascia, because first you need to get the pressure off the surface if you're actually going to be able to penetrate deeper. And you don't want to have the sense of it's happening, it's not happening, it's happening, it's not. Now the next thing, and actually this will be next week, we're going to really work on movement 3. Just keep in mind that the way your body is turning around the clock from 3 to 6 to 9 to 12, your legs must be intimately involved in this. And that's not just so you don't hurt yourself. That is taking care of the power of no. The power of yes is that these motions will allow a much greater flow and a more significant flow. So you will increase the amount of chi that's moving through your body by quite a lot. If you take off the resistance, the thing itself flows. So you have to get rid of the negative drags as well as enable the positive channels in your body to open up. So remember, when you are not moving, when you are moving, not to hurt yourself. Make sure that at no point do you feel pressure going into your knees or feel your knees twisting. If your knees are twisting, then you simply have to get the fascia in your legs and your buttocks to turn enough so that they take the pressure off the knees. So it's a question of the pressure will go into the fascia or the pressure will go into your joints, and you never want the pressure to go to your joints. When you go around the clock to 3, you're clearly rotating your fascia to the right. If you're turning to go down to 6, you're probably going to turn to the left. So you just keep on rotating your fascia so that it enables your waist to move without feeling stuck in any one of the positions. The thing that most people who do Qigong forget is to have the turning in your legs get their buttocks to connect to your lower back. A lot of the early Qigong teachers that came to America from China after the Cultural Revolution were skinny because they had been starving for many years. But the amount that someone is going to be able to turn, the amount they can turn is related to this. The thinner somebody is, the easier it is to rotate their legs. The bigger they are, the harder it is, simply because there is more mass. But the essential process doesn't change, because many of these people were so thin who had learned Qigong, they never had any issue of anything pulling on their knees. They didn't have enough weight on top of their knees to do anything. So they just focused on turning the waist. But a much more classic way is to get your legs to work, because 1 unit of qi you move in your legs, as you know, does as much as 10 units of qi moving in your upper body. So it is the legs that have to be the point of consideration. Now, something I'm just going to show you, and I don't know how useful this will be to you, but there are a few places that are deeper inside your legs that if you focus on those specific points, and these are acupoints actually, it somehow becomes much easier to release the fascia. So let me get my knee up here where you can see it, because this is, the knee is one part that it helps if you can see it. One point is right above the knee. And one of the things about these points is if they are tense and tight or stuck, you will probably have pain. And this, so some of them may have some sense of pain and some may not. So there is one that's right above the knee. The second ones are right at the point at which, on the side of the leg, at the point where the muscles connect to the hip, both on the side and right up where they connect in the inside of the perineum. And also then going right down on the side, right above the knee. And those 4 points are ones that particularly release in the insertion points. And they really need to be released. Also then, there's what's called the eyes of the knee. There are two little hollow points below the kneecap and two right above it. And those need to be released. Also, there is a point right in the middle of the thigh on the side. And that's, you really just have to kind of feel around until you find where that is, because that one probably will have some tightness to it. But that one also is an important one to locate. So these places are very important because if they are tight, if you can get them to release, they will really help you release the fascia. So, if you can get your mind, instead of staying on the surface, but to go really inside your body and just relax and open these points, you'll find that the fascia will start moving more easily. If it is not already doing so. And you can't remember where those, if you can't remember where those points are, and I will send you the notes, you could just go roughly to those places in your legs where you feel the surface tension, and then go in an inch or two and release whatever is in there. You may find the fascia in the surface level releasing as a result. But the focus on these points is really important if you can do so. Any question about that?
Nope. The points are familiar from doing acupressure on myself. So.
Oh, okay. Good. Good. Absolutely. Great.
Nice.
So, any other questions or thoughts at the moment on this?
I don't think so. That was a lot to absorb.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Also, I failed to put it in the invitation, but today is the beginning of a new session. So,
Oh, okay.
Drop me a check when you can.
Sounds good. You got it.
Good.
All right.
Anything else at the moment? Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Glad you guys could make it. I would have been lonely here.
Yeah. Sorry about the few interruptions.
Well, hey, that's part of it for you.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll go
sorry.
back and watch the recording. I'm glad we recorded today.
Good.
Good luck on the scan, Adam.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, indeed.
So,
Okay.
all right, guys, have a good one.
Take
Yep,
care.
you too.
I'm doubting that this is a particularly good day to do.
Yeah. No, I gotta run. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully, I keep saying, I'm gonna have a work from home day, but hopefully next week, I was gonna do it today, but
Well,
just with the only time they could get me in with that scan was today. So since I had to be here anyways.
you got to do some of these things when you have to do them.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, have a good week, David.
Okay, you too, Adam. Take care.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.